Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once again, we are back live and direct inside the lab. Your boy, the one and only Sun Cypher. I got the God Asher L riding shotgun. We got Nate J, Crypto Nate coming through in a minute here. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a minute since I blessed the mic. Asher L, how you feeling, bro?
Y'all doing pretty good, man. Just trying to stay warm over here. But other than that, just chilling, getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah, man. Y'all talking all that cold talk over there, son. I'm over here with a ice cold beverage and a wife beater
Mm.
on, son. I'm chilling, but
Yeah,
sorry to hear it. My condolences. What else has
hey,
been
it's
going
all
on? You
good.
said you
It's all
got
good.
yeah. So you got what? One more day at the gig, and then you got a little bit of R&R.
Oh yeah, one day to go, and then we can relax a little bit, get some side projects done, but take off to the new year. It's a little interesting. We got Christmas on a Sunday, I believe, Christmas Eve on a Saturday, so a little bit different this year. But yeah, it's gonna be some nice family time, relaxing time. It should warm up though, probably in the next few days. So I'll be able to get outside a little bit.
Okay, so this is just a minor spell that's blowing through everywhere.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
like a whole.
average temperature? What's the average temperature in the wintertime in Austin?
That depends. Like a couple years ago, we got similar. Like in February, it got pretty cold. We had a big storm front come through, but I mean, I would say anywhere from the 30s to the 50s, right? With dropping down to the 20s, but this one's just different because we'll be in the teens, averaging with the high of 30s for probably for like a good 4 days. Um, but it's a little bit different depending on where you're at in Texas. But yeah, Austin, we it doesn't get crazy cold here, but once February rolls around, that's when I expect the winter storms, winter to hit. This is just kind of I feel like it may be a real cold winter just because we're getting this in December. Because sometimes on Christmas it could be shoot it could be like 70 degrees on Christmas. You never know.
Yeah, that's more my speed, son. That's what I like to hear. I can deal with that, but all of this freezing shit, yo. I'm so far. Even when I was there, I was in Florida for like, you know, well, technically most of my adult life after I finished university and shit. So, I mean, I know about those cold winters or whatever, but I don't mind. I'm a tropical baby at heart, so you know, I
Hmm.
don't mind that shit every once in a while. But yo, man, let me see my son in fucking, tropical vibes and shit. But anyway, it's good to be back on with you. Anyway, man, how you guys been? I've been checking
Yes,
out
sir.
a lot of crypto and down lately at work and shit. You guys have been coinciding with the time that I'm just, driving around in and out of the fucking vehicle and shit. So,
Okay.
um, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I've been hearing y'all burn it down, man. I'm liking, where y'all been going with it, whatever. But you want to talk about some of the topics you guys, some of the hot topics over the past 2, 3 episodes that you guys have been vibing on that you got in the front of your headpiece right now.
Yeah, it's the usual that everyone's talking about, FTX, Sam Bankman fraud, and that whole connection. Um, I mean, it's kind of like beating a dead horse at this point, but it's just it kind of ties in with a lot of stuff we've been talking about, whether it's what's going over in Europe, America sending money to that old Zelensky, the money laundering going down there, and how FTX ties in Sam Bank from politicians all the way all the way over to like I think it encompasses everything from the military, pharmaceuticals, your politicians, and then even the connections with the regulators, people in the Gary Gensler. So it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but it's like the fraud and corruption is so in your face. I just saw this dude got out on $250 million of bail. But
Yeah,
the interesting piece behind all that is just how the stable coins tie into it. Tether, specifically. Um, and then I think I'm just watching to wait and see what happens with some of these other platforms, whether it's Nexo, Binance. Um, I guess people say KuCoin. So any of these different exchanges or platforms that are offering interest,
yeah, they
probably
could be
are like
from.
position right now. So the effect of this is still going to be seen a few a few months from now, or maybe even it's not like FTX was the first fraudulent or badly run organization to go down this year. So it's like it's seeming the biggest domino so far yet to date, but it's just he's the interesting one just because of how close he was to the politicians and the laws that are you can kind of starting to see different politicians working on in relation to crypto. So um, yeah, that's what we've been talking about. Some other things here and like yeah, top of mind. It's a big story, when you got people asking me about it, my parents asking me about it, and people who aren't really that into crypto. So it's just it's one of those things where you can see the corruption in the space, but the corruption coming from the people who are regulated already. Um, that's where you're seeing the scams and the corruption come from, and it's a matter of people being greedy and overlooking an obvious scam fraud this guy was running and stealing customers' funds, offering interest on people putting in, so egg on their face. Um, but it just from the people who were supposed to be these venture capital firms to actually audit and take a look, you can see,
To Gensler
yeah,
himself and some of these
yeah,
politicians.
it's just an overall. I mean, honestly, it's like the whole rotten system to its core. So it's kind of like if people want to look and see and do something about it, like they will. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't know. The everybody. So people can blame the celebrities who took money, but they're not going to have smoke for, and they can have smoke for Gensler. But then you look at the different people who invested in different venture capital firms who invested in who were supposed to do research. You can tell these people aren't doing due diligence, and uh, as a whole society, it's kind of it's bad. This is like a not probably not even the lowest point, but just looking at it, you can see a failure of people who looking out for their own. It's easy, I guess, to turn the other way when you're getting paid off of it. Um, so it's kind of like you can see the lies, the corruption, all the way from top to bottom.
Yeah, as in your immortal words, this is a failure of the redacted, right? This is a failure of the deplorable class. This has nothing to do with crypto,
Yeah.
and of course, your mainstream outlets. This is what they're missing in all of this carnival around this cat and his henchmen and woman, right? This is everything that's been happening in crypto since I got in. In fact, in 2020 May, have been around centralized institutions.
Hmm.
That's not crypto. And if anybody who lost their money, sorry to hear it, but if this is nothing else, this is just a lesson that you can't fuck with centralized exchanges. Just like, why would you go leave the fiat world just to come over here and give somebody else like the keys to your empire? That's ridiculous. You go over to crypto in order to get away from that. Otherwise, you're just investing. And even if you're just investing, you want to protect your investment. So even from that perspective, none of it makes sense to leave your shit on a centralized exchange. This is what happens every single time, almost verbatim. So yeah, there's gonna be and all of these all of these so-called trusted names and institutions. These are the ones that are getting burned, while they, snub their nose at DeFi and they arrest the founder of Tornado Cash to this day. This dude is sitting in jail for developing a code And you got SBF that just got off on 250 million, half a bill. Who paid that? The redacted. So I'm more interested to see how they're going to try to spin this because I don't even really see this dude doing no time seriously because this dude's a made man. And the fact that he was like, itching to get back over to America and he got a bell immediately. And, this is where his base is, this is where his family is, this is where his resources are in America, whatever the fuck. So this dude has rubbed or he's waxed too many hands and shit in Washington, D.C. So they can't kill him because his parents too fucking powerful. So they can't just like snub him like they would normally do in this situation. He got fucking connections, and he got all these motherfuckers got blood on their hands are dirty from taking this money from this motherfucker. All of this shit, Pocahontas Warren talking about DeFi. I guarantee you, she took money from SBF. I promise you, she'll be on that list. So you know, I just think yeah, that whole circus. I'm pretty much over that shit as well. But to me, the whole lesson is very clear. Don't fuck with centralized exchanges, and if you fucking with DeFi, make sure it's DeFi.
Yeah, it's the whole
That's what I.
adage, make sure you got your not your keys, not your cheese, as Bitcoin Zay says. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the things we've been talking about. I don't know if he would get they may try to have a fall person. I don't know about him being taken out because he was like a good patsy for a whole bunch of organizations and people to try to get their money through. And I don't know I don't think the redacted take out their own in a sense. They'll take out other people. Um, if you kind of look at how that intelligentsia, they'll take out whoever else they need to, trying to protect their homeland, um, in a sense. So I don't know if they'll take him out per se, but he may have to do some time, or someone may have to do some time just for there needs to be a scapegoat, right? That everyone can look at. Um, so that may be him, but that's not to say he part of it, but he was only a part of a whole major thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
clearly he wasn't.
yeah, the other thing we can talk about is just tech, Twitter, Elon, stuff like that. World Cup just ended, so this has been the top story. It's kind of at this point not played out, but um, it's just I'm just sitting back to watch and see with what becomes of him, just to track it and see. And I've noticed there are different people who are pushing bills that would kind of go against what you see these Democrats and other that FTX was kind of pushing with Sam Bankman-Fried, that would go against that whole self custody, that would make it harder for developers in the self custody space who are trying to do work on those type of products and projects. There are
Yeah,
some bills. You're talking about Elizabeth Warren, but I have seen some other senators and I think some congressmen push back against it. So definitely some battles going on, and I'm sure the SEC and a lot of different regulatory agencies are going to start coming after the crypto space, whether it's NFTs, a lot of people who made NFTs and got stuff off of them. So I think I'm expecting a lot of people to be, I guess, more people to be getting letters, more people to be facing more scrutiny who are involved in crypto.
yeah. Meanwhile, Nigeria just voted in to use Bitcoin as part of their treasury. So that's a progressive sign. There's no coincidence that all of these so-called third world nations are adopting crypto in the form of Bitcoin right now. I think that's very positive, especially for a country like Nigeria, who actually has a pretty strong economy. When you compare it to the rest of Africa. You know what I'm saying? So that's positive. But yeah, you mentioned Elon. I guess yeah, between Elon and SBH, that's pretty much been the conversation. But
Yeah. Oh, also, they're rolling out the Euros, are forking Project Hamilton CBDC. I saw come across the timeline. So yeah, between like the tech space and even the thing with Twitter kind of ties into crypto as well. And I'm sure the CBDCs will be utilized in a way, whether it's some other like people talk about USDC being or payment options or what's going to happen with Twitter, but you can kind of see with Elon the people behind him who invested in him to take over Twitter.
mm,
Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. The platform is definitely going to get worse, more censorship, and
yeah,
you know. But
so
hey,
he's now peeking his head out of the Trojan horse. I mean, just for the record, I don't think you or myself have ever been a fan of Elon Musk at all. Like, I know I'm not, and I don't think I've ever heard you, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's like I don't hate the dude, but I mean, I would say he's got funny tweets. He tweets funny stuff. He's got good memes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, all of that. But
I
I'm
just
talking
think
about
more and
like
more he. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm talking more of like understanding who he is, like underneath all of that.
Yeah.
He's a soldier for the redacted, yo. You know what I'm saying? And now clearly, he's unwrapped. Because I mean, look, this dude is talking about he's got Skynet, all right, where he's
Hmm.
got satellites flooding the lower atmosphere, which is the part of like the rollout of this Death Star high tech electronic global track and trace grid that they're unraveling through this COVID shit. All right. So Elon's a part of that. Then he got you with this fucking um what's his little fucking neural net. All right. So now he's got trying to feed fucking like you're trying to control your brain like through AI and all this shit like that.
Hmm.
So he got that going on, and nobody, they just everybody sweep that under the table. And then he comes and grabs Twitter, all right, and he talks about like censorship free, and the first thing he do is ban Kanye and ban the Stuart fucking Peters, I think that's his last name, the dude that made what's that doc uh suddenly dead or fucking like about how
Yeah.
now all I
Suddenly.
can't Yeah, I can't remember the name right now. It'll come to me in a second. But so he banned Kanye and he banned Stu Peters, all in one swoop. And then he's out here in these spaces talking about like, a brand new Twitter and all this shit like that. I'm like, hold on a second. What the fuck is really going on here? And then he's going to implement again like this globalist track and trace fucking
Hmm.
KYC type of scenario to even fuck around with Twitter. So like I know my days are up on this motherfucker anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it amazes me how people praise this guy. I mean, he really didn't invent shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Tesla, that's not his technology. You know what I'm saying? Like this Skylink shit, that's all given to him. All his money was given to him by the government. People don't even understand this. The only reason why Elon is who he is because the government allowed him to by giving him billions of dollars in fucking startup money. Period. So you're trying to tell me just because this motherfucker smoking weed with Joe Rogan and he fuck a bunch of bitches and shit, have a bunch of babies and say cool shit on Twitter and talk to you from his private jet on Twitter Spaces and shit. You think this motherfucker's for the people? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's funny watching people. I mean, people like I don't know, they like worship. They like to worship him, so it's kind of funny to see people who are talking like, "Oh, Elon's exposing the deep state. Elon gonna, he's gonna show everything going on, blah blah blah." But it's like, yo, man, he's giving you crumbs, and y'all are eating it up, thinking it's a meal.
Yeah, yo, and everybody feels special because
Oh,
they
Elon's in
feel
my
like they're
Twitter
part of.
space. Elon's in my Twitter space. I'm just like, I don't. Some of these people, I'm just like, use your head, man.
He
It's funny.
he ran that shit by his PR team before he did that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he ran it by yeah. But hey, it is what it is. It's like either you see it or you're gonna be blinded in your Elon worship. But at the end of the day, you just gotta. The people who know will know. Everyone else, they'll do. They'll maybe wake up eventually, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, not enough and not in time, but as I always say, it's never the majority that revolutionized the game any fucking way. So y'all motherfuckers want to continue that bullshit. You're gonna be on your fifth and sixth shot this time next year. Your fifth and sixth booster and shit. While you're mad at Elon because he blocked you for fucking some dumb shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is gonna be funny, and like those Twitter leaks, it's kind of like these JFK release that they're doing, not the whole thing, but they're gonna basically tell us what people who people who did a lot of research on it, or people who like me as like a casual conspiracy follower, like going into what could have possibly happened. People are gonna be like, oh, the FBI did it or the CIA did it. Oh my god! And it's like, where y'all been at, man? I don't know, man. It's just a whole bunch of information, and I gave up expecting people to, or the majority, to be like, oh, this is I can't trust whoever's put in front of me as like a hero, or these documents released that aren't just these say documents that are given to you, spoon fed to you, versus like actually giving you the unedited version. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And this, and with all of this media and tech and shit, these are your new fucking gods. You motherfuckers just don't realize it yet, but
yeah,
technology doesn't, and I think this is very interesting as well. Tell me what you think about this. Like, we would consider ourselves as a humanity to be very advanced, but I don't even see that we're anywhere close to advanced. I see the technology is advanced, but as far as us, when we measure that with regards to our spiritual mental growth as like a humanity, yo, we are fucking so far away from the technology, and that's the fucking catch. That's the problem, and that's why I said open air, high tech, electronic fucking prison. The Death Star is what they rolling out right now in front of our eyes and shit. And you motherfuckers sitting here patting one of their lieutenants on the back like he's some fucking, you know, saint or some shit.
yeah, yeah.
But what I really, really want to talk about though, as we approach another pagan holiday and people, go out, spend all this money, do all this stuff or whatever, you know, there's been a lot of, well to do, a lot of script that has been written since Kanye came out and said what he said about the Jews. And then Kyrie followed up with a motherfucking a post of an image in your boy called Holy Hell. You know what I'm saying? Um, Meanwhile, people like me are just sitting back and I'm like, okay, so, Ye did his thing and then he followed it up with this grand finale on Alex Jones, and people just lost their fucking minds and shit, you know. But one thing that I noticed, and I finally just watched the whole thing like a couple days ago because when it first came out, I didn't watch it just because I wasn't in the mood, just because of all the energy, around the whole thing or whatever and shit. I'm like, let me let this shit cool off for a minute, and then I'll do my diligence and shit. But I don't know if you've seen it, but one part of that the whole thing was Alex Jones started talking about how the blacks are the real Jews, and that he think that it's fucked up how they hide this information from blacks in America. And he was like, the blacks in America are the only people that don't have their own flag. You know, and I'm like, whoa, okay, and it doesn't surprise me that Alex Jones, said that and was willing to even bring that information because I've heard him, bring out facts like that before. In fact, if anybody go back and watch that clip, he actually has a photo, an image of Haile Selassie, um, when he's talking about this, and says that, he literally says that Haile Selassie is from the line of David and fucking Abraham. You know what I'm saying? And these are your people, black people. This is what Alex Jones told you while everybody's out here, and especially black people, you know what I'm saying, and Negroes, right? All these Negroes out here canceling Kanye, this, that, or whatever, because he said white lives matter, whatever the fuck. When Ye didn't really get into this too much on Alex Jones, which I don't know why he didn't, because it was an ideal platform for him to expand on that. But he's spoken about it before, as far as like this Israelite stuff and as it relates to these quote unquote African Americans. So that's kind of what I want to talk about, how this whole thing has come about, with the Jews and what happened over in Europe with Hitler and, even going farther back in biblical times and shit. I think there's a lot of dialogue that could be had and shit. But before I dive into it, what do you think about all of that with relation to Kanye and his his Alex Jones and him, you know, bringing the receipts about who the true Israelites are, the Jews, and all it is, you know, talk around this particular topic.
uh, I say that I've liked Kanye more and more as he's started talking and riffing and letting people talk. I think the what I'll say, like, I'm trying not to get I'm not getting myself canceled out here. Um, yeah, I think in that relation, like, it's depending on, it's like, yeah, black people are all over the world, so depending on, like, which black people, yeah, there are black Jews, or there are black people who are of that, of religion. So I think I'm sitting here like, I'm not gonna cancel Kanye. I like how I think he's growing and learning, obviously, and just he's talking out in public, so a lot of this stuff can come off abrasive and hurt people's feelings. And I think what I like about what he said is he's admitted to where he's messed up. So I think once I've seen that part of it as well, he can admit, like, okay, I was drinking when I went on Drink Champs. I wasn't following what God wanted me to do, what Christ wanted me to do, and how to live my life, and that's where I went wrong when I started put out my phone and tweeting. So I I like that he said what he said. People. I feel like people should be able to say what they want. Obviously, we don't live in that type of society, but I do admire the fact that he was able to admit where he went wrong in relation to getting getting his money taken away, canceled, as well as what went wrong in his marriage and stuff like that. So on in that relation to you know those people and what he says, he's speaking a lot of truth in one, admitting to where he went wrong, and also I kind of like how where he's centering his message as far as you want to talk about doing Christ like things, loving people, making sure people are taken care of. Um, so I was like, out of this whole thing, I watched. I didn't watch the Drink Champs thing, but I did watch the Alex Jones, and I thought, towards the end, he started to make more sense. He ran it for the first half, and I think he kind of tied it in nicely. He even talked about like, oh, he was fasting just to be in the right mindset. And I think he's one of those dudes who you could say, being in the industry he's in, he's, has probably come as close to the devil as anybody. So, and I like the fact that, one, he seems repentant for the things he's done, but he's also speaking his mind and is not backing down for he's in. So I think overall, I'm just going to continue to watch and see how he progresses and what he, how he works through some things that he's obviously had to deal with, because you can go hella deep into conspiracies on what's happened to him, the things he's had to go through, whether or not some of them are true or not. It's very interesting. So if you're able to bounce back from even half of that stuff, like, kudos to you, hats off to you, as well as not many people could deal with losing billions of dollars and still be out here pushing forward, you know um so that aspect I kind of admire. And as I'm like, I'm not going to cancel another black man uh who self-made, who's wanted, seeking someone who's like, he seems to be seeking truth. Whether or not he gets it right every time, obviously he doesn't, he's human. But like I was saying, like, if he can look and see where he went wrong, look at his mistakes, uh you know yeah, I may have to go down to the polls next year, and or next 2 years, and I don't vote, but may have to bust out that Kanye, that EA24s.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, fuck it, Obama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at
Yeah,
least
man,
we niggas,
let's get the real first black president.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? From the shy. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, hey,
How about
man,
that? You know what I'm saying?
yo, I don't know what. Yeah, I'm just. It's a lot of it's entertainment as well, right? He's an entertainer. I loved his whole Netanyahu thing that he was doing.
Yeah,
Like,
that was funny.
that had me rolling. And it's, I think it's like, yeah, he's kind of a chaotic right now, going against the system. But
Yeah,
I think a lot, depending on how he stays focused and on the progressing on the right track, like, I think some good could come out of it. Not to say that he could win, but I'm like, I thought, what I thought was so gangster and so cool was like, yo, when he went down to Florida and asked Trump to run with him as his vice president, and was like, hey,
yeah,
Trump, you got to put Christ first. I don't think you're doing that. So I think you should run as my vice president. So people have a lot of opinions, a lot of other valid opinions, but I thought that was dope as hell to go down there and ask him to be your running mate. Cause I don't know.
if
I wish
Trump,
they was on here.
put it
Yeah,
like this, if Trump want to get back into that motherfucker, he better go fucking seriously consider that offer.
but
That's what
you
I would
going in
say.
president, bro.
Yeah, because as a
I,
president, I don't know. I think he got too much smoke to go back up in there as a president. It,
bro, I don't know. They may try to arrest Trump. It looks like that's what they're working towards.
oh, what?
I don't know. I'm
Haven't even.
just, but I mean, they keep bringing up this J6 stuff, and it's just like they keep harping on these things, and it's like they can't let go of the man. So it's like it's like something they want to actually like stamp, wipe out, erase as much as they can. So it, uh, I think I don't see a lot of other, if you want to say, Republicans out there who could win besides him, who could have that cachet. I think there are a lot of frauds out there. I don't know that I've been following that much. DeSantis. Um,
Yeah,
so it's like, yeah, he may have a lot of trouble getting back in there. And I'm sitting here like, are we really gonna sit here and act like that last election everything on the up and up, and every election's on the up. It's like people in
Well,
2016 were complaining about it in the voting machines, and then the same people were complaining in 2016. They stopped complaining in 2020, while a whole bunch of other people were like, "Hey, these are messed up." So going into 2024, I'm sitting here like, my thing is like, what's the point of all of this if at a fundamental level the election is,
rigged.
you can't trust it, right? And we know it, but people want, just depending on whose side is in or what's going on, people in 2016 want to act and pretend like in 2020 up and up, and then people who in 2016 were like, oh no, it's all, in 2020 they realized, oh, but those, they realized, dang, like this ain't what it is. And like the whole, it's, yeah, it's so, I think it's at the point where that's why I don't vote. But at the end of the day, like if Ye's out there in something that I, get behind, then you got my vote, sir. In spirit,
Yeah.
and I may just get my ass out there.
Well, this is my thoughts on Ye, just regarding Ye, my personal thoughts. Like Ye has said a lot of crazy shit, but the niggas in Hollywood, yo, you know what I'm saying? He's married to a Kardashian. He lost his mother over this shit, as he so eloquently put it. You know what I'm saying? And he is the epitome of that Gemini energy. And if he is to become a politician, there will never be a more truthful politician that we've had on that level. I'm not saying he's going to be 100% truthful, but I'm saying compared to anything else that would have been up there, Kanye can't help but to tell the truth. I don't know personally why he would want to run for president. Um, I don't know who his advisors are, and if he understands like the everything that's associated with that, you know. And like you said, maybe this is all just like some for TV shit that we're watching right now, and clearly that's some part of that. So I can't really take none of
Mm,
this shit too seriously. So I'm not really even focusing more so on the political aspect of, whatever he will or won't do in 2024. But what I think is important, from my perspective, is the fact that, especially in America, it's like black men can't even find out who they are like in public and shit. You know what I'm saying? We get scrutinized for even scratching at the truth in public across the board, and it's been that way for my entire life. I think that's more at the issue here. And I don't think this is a Jewish thing, and even really who isn't Jew, because we'll get into that. But I think this is a Zionist thing, and this is what Kanye spoke about, and this is what Alex Jones spoke about, and many people, even Jews themselves, that are Orthodox, speak about this particular aspect of Zionism. Because according to a lot of Orthodox Jews, there should never be a state of Israel, according to the teachings and the word. I'll just throw that out there. But it's like Kyrie got crucified because he just literally shot up an image of a documentary that most of the people that's giving him all this smoke didn't look at it unless they saw a clip of, like, somebody like Jim Jewed up of the worst parts, quote unquote, of that particular output or whatever. And so that whole echo chamber went in full effect. But look how hard they come at us when we only speak about who we are and where we come from. And so I think this is a problem. And I don't think this is necessarily a Jewish thing, it's more so a Zionist thing. So I want to make that very clear. But it needs to be spoken about, because why is it that everybody else can talk about their shit, where they from, who they come from? I'm half Native American. I'm in Australia, for those of you who don't know. And one of the things that really shocked and surprised me when I came over here was there is a such thing as a white Aboriginal. They exist. And what I mean is, like, there are Caucasians in Australia, like a lot of them, not just like a small number. there are a lot of Caucasians who we would call Caucasians and anywhere else on the planet. Like if you saw them phenotypically, they look like Caucasian. But somehow, like if they got like a smidgen of Aboriginal in them, then they are claiming to be Aboriginal, right? So I just didn't know there was such a thing when I first came over here. So we're at this every year Aboriginals on the New Year's Eve, or no, no, not New Year's Eve, but like Independence Day, Australia Day is what they call it over here. The indigenous call it Invasion Day. So when I first came to Australia, me and my girl went down to Redfern, this very known spot of Aboriginals for like thousands of years down in Sydney. Um, and I'm like, yo, why are there so many white people here? And my girl was like, keep your voice down, first of all. And like, they're not white, they're Aboriginal. And I'm like looking at her with the biggest, like, disgusting look. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because in my head, I just couldn't wrap my head around it because in America, if somebody's mixed and shit. I don't care if they're light as fuck. You can always tell, like, if they're mixed, but it's not the same over here. And that's just because of the genetics of Aboriginals and when they mix with Caucasian, whatever. So, my point is, you know, they they talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody can talk about. They all have like a history, but we're just African Americans, and we're supposed to be fine with that. You got Italian American, you got Indian Americans, you got Jewish Americans, you know what I'm saying? You got all kinds of people who are from somewhere else, but they have a distinct lineage and they have a flag that represents them. We are literally lost in the wilderness. Okay? So who doesn't that sound like some biblical fucking Israelite shit to you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we really talking about here? But I don't even really want to get into like who and who isn't Jew. My whole point of all of this is that's like a smoke screen. That's really not the issue here. There's a Zionism thing that we really need to be talking about, and Zionists don't want any other interpretation of the story except for the one that's being told and shit. And anybody that ever goes outside of that will be dealt with. They got all the apparatuses like the anti-defamation leagues, and they got their political lobby arms and all this shit like that to ensure that motherfuckers like Ye and Kyrie get shut the fuck down. Period. So to me, that's like more of like a major concern, like moving forward as we navigate through these social media spaces, and people are merely stating what they, even if it's not factual, what this dude was referring to in the case of Kyrie, how they went at him. Everything in there wasn't false. Even if you thought something was factual, if we are all have the freedom to present information in this digital age, then why don't you present some shit to rebut what this dude is saying instead of going on a witch hunt, never presenting any facts, but just saying anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic. Now, again, words are very important when we talk about being anti-Semitic or whatever. Then you need to understand what that word and term even means and shit. I won't get into that right now, but the etymology of that will be self-explanatory in itself. But anybody who has melanin in their skin, you can never call them anti-Semitic unless you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's part of the problem right there. All right. Like that whole term Semite and Semitic has everything to do with who the melanated people are on this planet. And that's just the history, the etymology, the geographical um, receipts that we have at our disposal, whatever that we really need to start talking about, because I think a lot of things will be put in order. People need to understand if it's not true that these so-called African Americans, even though I got tons of receipts that's on my hard drive alone and on my bookshelf, okay? If it is not true, then where is the evidence showing differently? The problem is we don't have our own platform, so we're always subject to the scrutiny of our um, detractors or whatever. So, I won't blow too much harder on that particular subject or whatever. But that's kind of what I feel about Kanye. Individually, I think he's brilliant. I think that he's being true to his nature astrologically, and he's in a crazy world where everybody is fucking crazy. Just most people don't get found out because they continue to play the game. Kanye Ye has decided that he don't want to do that. So that's my piece. And as I'll just um, give you guys this one more piece of information before we get out of here. I made this post a couple days ago, and I just basically asked the question. And I was replying to a post that Crypto Nate had made, and he was just saying, "Yo, you guys need to know the real deal about Jesus Christ and this whole Christmas shit or whatever." And so I replied to that by posting the cover of a book. It's called "The World's 16 Crucified Saviors" by Kersey Graves. I have this book on my shelf for years now, and what this book does is just document in every single culture that this guy was aware of at the time that had a Christ story. And like 98% of all the Christ stories happened before the time the Christ was even supposed to be on the planet. From India to Phoenicia to all over the planet. I'm saying if you put Christ's bio, like, his main, shit on his resume, born of a virgin, like, three wise men, yada, 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 all of these things, right? Only problem is there are several individuals, quote unquote, throughout the history before Christ was ever even a thought that was already on the planet and had supposedly done those same things. So, you know, already that's something that we should look at. But even more so, because to me, the story of Christ is more of like an astrological, astronomical tale, more so than anything else. And this is what this particular link speaks about here. It says, "Who killed Christ?" And this is going back to this whole thing about, the stories that get told and who gets to tell the stories or whatever. Um, According to this Wiki Religions page, there are three characters who are responsible for murdering Christ if we're going to follow the linear biblical tell. These six characters are the Sanhedrin, which is a Jewish high council, the Pontius Pilate, or Pilate, however that's pronounced. You have Judas Iscariot, an unnamed Roman centurion, Herod Antipas, and Joseph Caiaphas, right? These are the six individuals who plotted and murdered Jesus Christ according to um, the story in the Bible. So these were all Roman Jews. These were all Roman Jews. I'm not going to get into reading this shit right now, but these are all Roman Jews. So my question, and this is a very fucking honest question for all of you scholars out there. How did we go from, like, in history, historically, we know that these Roman Jews were responsible for the murder of the savior of the planet, right? Of the world, all the worlds. I don't know how it goes, but how do we go from that to destabilizing another set of historical people in a land that they had been on and cherished and worshipped and lived and died for thousands of years? And now we're giving these Jews from that same line this land and all of this protection in the name of who? Because they don't even believe in Christ. I'm saying, like this is the Torah. They don't believe in Christ. So all of this is very confusing to me. And this shit may or may not make it like out of my fucking inbox once we're done with this recording. But I'm just confused how this shit even fucking works. How we went from this, the murder of which we're about that in a couple of days now, and quote unquote to protecting and funding the lineage, quote unquote, so called, of the motherfuckers who did that. I just don't get it, but that's the world we're living in now. Asher L, you got any last thoughts, bro?
No comment. But yeah, good conversations. It's been nice. But yeah, interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing for you on that. I don't know.
Yeah, yo, I feel you. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I just wanted to give a little food for thought as we enter this holiday period about that and everything else we spoke about as well. But hopefully I just next year we at it again, and I think both of our sentiment is this shit is not getting any better across the board, no matter where you want to look at it. So that's just the linear projection, though. We also are creators, and we are in this age of Aquarius, which I think is kind of like unraveling, and is like initial stage is quite interesting. The things that come to light that normally would not come to light, but what I didn't anticipate is how we would react as like a people to these things. Like we just is so captivated by our everyday lives when we hear these things that these establishment people are doing, like Sam Bankman Fried and all his ties and connection. It's like we just keep it moving. So even though we're in a time where just based on the frequency, the truth is accelerated and the curtain is, pulled back so everybody can see what's going on. But I think we really need to work on now, like what's really valuable and how we are going to kind of shape this world for like the generations that's coming behind us and shit. Because clearly, I can't see in my lifetime. But again, I mean, shit can happen at the blink of an eye as well. But in a linear fashion, I don't think in my lifetime I'm going to see the change that I actually want this shit to become. But I know I'm going to plant the seed. So, you know. And to all a good night, goddammit. Yo,
Peace.
so go check out my man Asher L, yo, over at Crypto and Down, alongside NFT Jams, as I affectionately call um, the God. Like they're doing their thing. You guys doing anything over the holidays, or you just gonna roll back and take it easy?
Man, I don't even know. We may try to get one in before the new year. Maybe do like a new year recap. But uh, it's kind of like day to day as far as when when we'll be able to get a stream in. So hopefully we may get one more in. But as of now, can't guarantee it.
True, true, respectful. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, try to utilize my
Uh,
couple of days off, like to, do a bit of streaming and shit like that or whatever. It's
bet.
been a while. So I'll be traveling in a bit as well. So I need to get this out of my system. But thanks for falling in, bro.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll once we can. I spoke to Kid earlier today, so we supposed to link up as well. But once I can get everybody together, yo, we'll definitely see if we can get me, you, Jams, Kid, Crypto, Nate. You know what I'm saying? To get the gang back together before the new year and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, bro. Any final words before we get out of here?
No other words than shout out to everybody. Hope everyone has a good Christmas and whatever other holidays you celebrate. And like Jams always says, hug somebody you love, be kind to those around you, and like my mama says, remember the reason for the season.
Yeah, word up, and everybody be safe out there. If you're gonna be out partying, do it responsibly, and hopefully with somebody that care about you. We will be with you guys sooner than later. Asha L, respect, homeboy. I'll catch up with you sooner than later. Peace out
Yeah,
to the world.
definitely.
Black Dot Chronicles.